The more devoted I am to myself, the more devoted I am to him. Really, though. Before we met, we were praying for each other. I was married. He was in a 5.5-year-long relationship. I just had this belief that my counterpart, that my twin flame existed, and I felt them my entire life, and I knew that they were there. And so because we both had to go through these sort of hard relationships, and the way that we hold each other now is in complete reverence and honesty. And so we work on that every week. Every Friday we have a relationship check-in, and we have a talking stick, and we say, this is what made me feel loved this week. And then he says what made him feel loved. And what is it that I can do for you this week? What can I do for you? And was there any friction for you this week? And it's bringing up the hard shit, and in a way of like, this triggered me. I'm not saying you triggered me, but in this circumstance, I felt triggered because we're so intimate as far as our past experiences and where we felt abandoned and our childhoods, and we know where our pain points are because we've expressed these things very deeply. We can understand where these things would spike in each other. And so just creating like a very open and honest dialogue and having the hard conversations that sometimes take 2 hours. And it's seeking to understand, and it's seeking just to listen and not be right. And so the more that we step into not needing to be right, the more space there is to really understand the inner workings of what's really going on. It's not really about the dishes. It's not really about any of those things. It's, there's something that happened last week and I felt abandoned. And then going deeper into myself, well, did you abandon yourself, Grace? Oh, shit, I abandoned myself again.
Yeah. We do a lot of lists and talks about relationships on this podcast. And in every list, communication is always at the top of the list, right? Yeah. And it's my belief over all of the things that I've read and all the relationships that I've been in, that it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And whenever you said, reflecting on the past week, was there any points that you felt friction? I think that that's such a nice way to say, like, at what point were you pissed off? And when you say it like that, it sounds much more aggressive than at what point last week did you feel friction, right? And it's saying the same thing, just in a different way.
Yeah.
More effective communication.
And we don't call it fighting, we call it growth session.
The interesting thing about what you're talking about, and I think a large misconception people have about sacred partnerships, is that at some point they find themselves in the perfection of a relationship and they think that you're just not going to experience anything difficult. You have two awakened souls just sort of like working together. That should just look perfect all the time. But to me, I don't think a sacred partnership really means that. And you defined that and you validated that. It's not so much about being perfect, because things aren't perfect. Things can sometimes go very wrong because we're still human beings. And we learn a lot from the mistakes that we make. And that's the thing. It's just about authenticity, right? You guys are being honest with each other. And that is the one thing, at least from my experience, that I've gathered from my sacred partnerships that I've had, is it's about how you move through really difficult situations together, because that shadow will come up. And being authentic to your feelings in those moments is a really empowering thing, but it seems to be very dangerous for people because most people are afraid to go into that realm. And they meet that whole thing with resistance, and there's no surprise that they disconnect. It's about like being authentic to when you're pissed off and having a comfortable and healthy way of communicating your needs so that you all can sort of learn from each other.
And attending to your own needs first. When I get into a rhythm of overgiving and I'm not receiving, it throws off the balance in my relationship. And so it's just learning how to check yourself, like, man, I'm not receiving, and I know I struggle with that. So where do I need to receive? Where do I need to nourish myself right now? And so because both of us work from home, we schedule in alone time. Like, Kate, he's got it in right there. I'm just going to let him do his thing, and I'm going to go be me. I'm going to go be Grace. And so him taking himself out on a date and me taking myself out on a date and just filling our own cups. For me, it's like driving in my car and listening to my favorite music and connecting with myself, and that's usually where I get lots of downloads, or going to an open field with a little bit of cannabis. I know that I need that to fill myself up, you know? And so it's just paying attention to those things too, you know? You're not falling into like this routine of same all the time too. It's like Sunday, you know, usually it's our family day, but it's like today he's going to go take a, you know, a gram of mushrooms with his best friend in the woods. He needs to do that. I honor that, you know? And I need to go take a shower and have a piece of pizza. I don't know, right? It's just like honoring what we need right now.